All right. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to YBF TV. Now, this is a little different than what y'all used to seeing. I know y'all used to seeing us on Instagram, but for the very first time, very first show, we have the CEO and the champ. I am the CEO. I'm your boy SDOT. And if we're gonna do this, I have to have my brother with me. I have former champion, my brother Jesse James Leah. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, bro. How about yourself? Everything good?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. We got a nice day outside, man. So I'm enjoying the weather. How about yourself?
We're good, man. It's raining today in San Antonio, which we needed. It's been so hot, but it's raining now. It's cooled down, so it's great. It's
Good
a good
stuff.
day.
You guys don't typically get a lot of rain down there, do you?
Not really. Recently, not too much at all. But we're always in droughts and everything dries up. Matter of fact, my yard, my front yard, just got burnt up last summer because we had no rain last summer, and my yard got burnt up and dried up. I had to replace the yard. Um, but there's a lot of houses in the neighborhood that got the grasses got burnt up. So it's that's just it cost me a few $1,000s to get the grass put back in, that type of stuff.
I hear you, man. I hear you. I hear you. What is
But
it's one of those
you know what they say, first world problems, right?
right? That that's how it is sometimes, man. But it's those problems that when you become a homeowner, those things happen. Like my grandpa always said, you save up, you think you're doing well. The next thing you know, a storm comes along, something
Yeah,
comes along and
yeah.
wipes you in the tail. So but let's get right into this thing, man. I mean, this past weekend we had us a big one. Canelo Alvarez, he defeats John Ryder. He gets the unanimous decision win in his in his area, in his country, in Mexico, in Guadalajara. He got it done. Uh,
58,000 people as well, so that was good.
Yes, they showed up for Canelo as we kind of thought that they would. I mean, Canelo is, arguably the face of boxing, and Mexican fans they love their guys, so it was kind of anticipated. It was kind of expected that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, champ, what'd you think about the fight?
I mean, I like the fight, but I also knew that Ryder was in there not to win necessarily, but to not get knocked out. And there's a difference. Um, he was in there just to survive, and surviving the fight was a win for him. And plus, he made his money. Canelo looked good. Canelo looked great, but it's hard to fight a guy who's defensive minded throughout the fight, and that happens. And that happens to. I mean, it happens. If you're a decent fighter, it's going to happen to you at one point where the guy just does not want to get knocked out, and you got to try to break him down, figure out how to get to him without getting knocked out yourself. But Canelo looked great. He looked well. A little slower than usual. I thought he looked a little heavier than what I usually see him. He's usually ripped, a lot more than he was for this fight. But maybe that's part of the deal. Like, I'm not gonna fight anyone so good. I'm not gonna stress myself and kill myself to whatever it is. I don't know. But there's times where you think I'll beat this guy. I'm not gonna kill myself to make weight or what. I don't know. Who knows? Only he knows.
Yeah. Do you think the layoff had something to do with it? Because after his most recent fight, I forgot who he fought before the little layoff that he had. I want to say it was Golovkin the third time, or he may
So
have.
yeah, right. It was. I think so.
Yeah, I think it was Golovkin the third time. He took a little break. So do you think it's maybe because of that little layoff? Because it was a good amount of time that he
Yeah,
took off. You think that
more
may
than
have
usual, right? More, but it's not that. It's because or he started training camp late and he was trying to get that weight off because he fought lighter than right today. It was 168, I believe,
yes.
and he hadn't fought that weight in a while. So maybe he just struggled to get to that weight, and he wasn't able to burn as much body fat. Whatever it is,
Mhm.
only he knows. But whether he started late or maybe he took Ryder as not as a strong opponent. I don't have to work as hard. I don't have to run those miles. I don't have to whatever it was. But I mean, he got to win. I thought, to me too, I thought it was more of a fight for Mexico. He hadn't fought in Mexico in a while. It was a fight for them, a fight for the fans to come out and see him live. That's what I thought I would. It was that type of thing because even myself, I didn't know who Ryder was. I didn't know who he was, so I was like, maybe there's just a fight. But Ryder was, he was a guy that was going to hang in there and like I said, fight to fight to stay 12 rounds with Canelo. Now he has a. Now you can tell he went. He didn't get stopped by Canelo, so that was a win for him.
Yeah, he's got something that he can hang his hat on. You know, he's pretty much made a name out of, because I mean, like you said yourself, champ, you didn't know who Ryder was, and a lot of people didn't. You know, he's a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not taking anything away from him. But
Ryder fought someone that was pretty good too, right? And beat him, I think.
He fought Daniel Jacobs.
Yeah, that's you know. He beat Daniel Jacobs, right?
Yes, he did. Yeah,
there you go, man. That tells you something there.
Yeah. So I mean, Ryder is he's a good fighter. You know, he's a good fighter. But I mean, like you said yourself, up into that fight, you didn't know who he was. And with this fight with Canelo, now more people know who he is. So that might open up some doors for,
household name now.
Yeah. Yep. So let me ask you this too. Did it seem like a couple times Canelo was loading up on that right hand? Like once he would get Ryder, to the ropes. Does it seem like he would try to throw that overhand right maybe a little too much? Because if you notice, he did that, and then he started to incorporate the 1-2 in there, and that's how he got the knockdown.
And and we're saying the same thing. Why is he looping the right hand? Or maybe you're just like, I don't know, but he kept looping that right hand. And sometimes you loop a right hand just to set up something else. Like you see something coming, the guy thinks, okay, there's nothing to come after that. And you throw a looping right hand, left hook, looping right hand, left uppercut, just to get him to drop a certain way. And he does that to a lot of his fighters. Remember, he did that to Kirkland, and he did that to who's the other guy from Britain?
Billy Joe, was it Billy Joe Saunders? Well, he fought a couple guys from Britain.
Yeah, the lighter guy, Khan, was it Khan? Who did he fight? Did he fight Amir Khan? He knocked him out cold.
Yes, he did. That was HBO. Shout out to HBO.
Yeah, he did that overhand right. So he sets guys up that way, and and maybe that's what he was trying to do with Ryder. But he didn't look his best. But it's hard I'm telling you, it's hard to fight a guy who just guarded up the whole time.
Yeah.
It's hard to fight a guy, but I'm not gonna make excuses for him. But sometimes you just figure out, you break the body down, break the arms down. I didn't see him hitting the arm as usual, like he does with fighters that have their hands up. I don't know, maybe just, hey, we have off nights too. Can't be perfect, it can't be perfect all the time. The thing is, Canelo's so good, people expect him to be the best at every time. Even look at what happened with Mayweather with Shane Mosley. He didn't look that good either, right? He was getting hit and got almost dropped twice. You can't be best at all time. It's hard to be up for every fight. Or just think about this: how many guys are in basketball? They're draining everything one day. The following week, they can't even make a free throw.
That's true.
Your body is it's in a rhythm, and sometimes you just don't have it.
That's true. And also, we're talking about a guy that has a lot of fights too, champ. You know what I mean? Like, he has over 60 pro fights. And I would imagine at some point, as good as he is, as great as he's been his entire career, he's been one of my favorites to watch in this generation. I'm not taking anything away from him. I'll be the first person in line to give Canelo his flowers right now. However, when we talk about that amount of fights, is it ridiculous to say that might have something to do, if there is some kind of decline with Canelo? Could that, you know what I mean? The 60-something fights, would you say?
It could be the beginning of the end, right? It could be the beginning of the end for Canelo. It could be the beginning of his downfall. It could be the beginning of his decline. We all have it. There's not one fighter in the history of boxing that went undefeated besides Mayweather. And then some people will question some of those fights too that he won. But that's the toughest thing in the world, man. To be a fighter and to stay up for every single fight, you're going to have off nights. And you just hope those off nights aren't the same time as the fight. It's almost impossible to do. And it's part of the fight game. It's part of the fight game. Everyone's going to come in and give you their best every single time, even when you're not at your best.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And like you said, other than Mayweather, there's a select few. Shout out to Joe Calzaghe. You know what I mean? He done, but I mean, you can name the guys on one hand that's retired undefeated. And I mean, it goes back to what me and you have had plenty of conversations about. It's a world-class fighter going against another world-class fighter. they're training just as hard as you are. So it's not hard to believe that another world-class fighter can get the best of another world-class fighter on any given night.
And how many opportunities do you think Ryder had to see Canelo in all his fights, all his pay-per-view fights and all that? And how many times do you think Canelo got to see Ryder fight and film and breaking them down? That's tough to do, you know.
That's
Sometimes
true.
you have nothing to well, heck, when we were starting off in boxing, there was no film. You hope to get a film from somebody, and you're so happy when people start passing out VHS tapes of fights. They're like, oh man, I get to see my guy fight. I get to study him. You didn't have that early on. Now
That's true.
you got everything to watch, and maybe it's just part of the game. It's part of the game.
Part of the evolution, man. Part of how far things have gone. So I gotta ask you the next question, champ, and y'all gonna see it pop up on the screen here shortly. What's next for John Ryder? He's sitting at 168, and like we said, he kind of made a name for himself hanging in there. He took some shots, he hung in there. So at 168, what would you say is something good for John Ryder?
I don't know if it's for him or not, but I bet you he fights one of the. I'm assuming he's gonna fight one of the Charlo brothers, and to see where he's at, or the Charlo brothers want to fight him to show that they're gonna knock him out, and then call out for Canelo, and make it mandatory. Whatever the fans see it, they say, "Why isn't this happening?" He just knocked out John Ryder. You just went to decision with Ryder. If I was one of the Charlo brothers, whichever one is the fights at 168, I would demand this fight with Ryder. Ryder gets another big payday. I get to showcase what I have and hopefully stop him, and then demand the fight for Canelo.
That's what, champ. That's actually a good plan. I know Charlo.
You got to politic yourself, man. If you're not going out there pushing for it, or you got to politic yourself and go out there and start making some noise. Say, hey, I want Ryder. I'm going to show everybody how good I am. I'm going to show everybody that I could knock him out. Well, Canelo couldn't do it. Whatever, that type of stuff. And demand it. Had the fans demand the fight. Like, hey, this has to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Or who could do that? David Benavidez. They're at 168 too, and I mean he kind of wants that Canelo fight too. So, if he ends up taking a fight with Ryder, and let's just say he stops him, then the media is gonna be even more vocal about getting that Benavidez versus Canelo fight. So that could possibly be an option for him. May not be a good one for Ryder because I don't really like the matchup in his favor.
Yeah,
but who knows?
He's a fighter. You gotta make your money. That's the key. It's a business. You don't go into boxing just to box and get beat up, or try to beat the other guy. You get in there for the money. You want to make the most money you can as fast as you can and get out of the game, the sport game. But it's an interesting thing with Benavidez. I see that Benavidez and Canelo fight. It scares you for Canelo only because Benavidez is young, strong, young guy. Fast, moves well, but he gets hit too, though.
Yes.
And that's the draw because, people don't understand. Canelo's only like 5'8", if 5'8". I'm 5'5.5". Canelo's just 5'8", if that. And, man, he's fighting these big guys. I was just talking to somebody about this 30 minutes ago. I was at the post office talking to some guy there, and he was telling me about what I thought about the fight. And I said, Canelo's fighting these big guys, man. Ryder wasn't that big, but he was a big, stocky guy. It's like me playing a basketball player one-on-one who's 6'5", 6'6". It's gonna be a tough game for me.
Yeah.
No matter how good I am, it's gonna be a tough game. And so when Canelo's find these bigger guys that are just as good and fast and strong, it's a tough thing, a tough task for him. And more power to him that he's been getting away with it. Not getting away with it, but he's been successful with it. It's a tough thing for anyone to do, man. And people, he's not that good. You try doing that. You try going in there with, you're 5'8", you find guys 6'1", 6'2" with that long reach, and it's tough for Canelo, man. You gotta be on your A game the whole time to get your knockouts.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times people forget what Canelo has done as far as moving up, and some of the people that he's fought. I know a lot of times,
right? He's fighting everybody. He's proven himself so many times. And then when a young stud like Benavidez comes in, or one of the Charlo, why don't you fight him? Like, God dang, I've been fighting everybody all this time, and you're never gonna give me my due because there's always somebody new. There's always somebody new.
Yeah.
Mayweather wasn't doing that. He wasn't fighting. Mayweather wasn't fighting guys, in the 170s, 160s. He wasn't doing that. He was staying with the guys in the 40s and 54s. Who's the biggest guy he fought? I don't even know. Who's the biggest guy he fought that came down from 160 to 147 or 154 to 140? No, there's not too many of those guys.
As far as big guys that he fought?
Yeah. Look what Canelo did. Canelo's gone up 3 weight divisions to fight. He started at 154, right, Canelo?
It may have been like maybe 1 or 2 fights even below that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
When he was young, he may have had 1 or 2 fights even below that.
Yeah, and now he's fighting guys in the 70s.
Yep.
And, that's tough to do. Mayweather didn't do it. Mayweather stuck to guys more like him. Amir Khan and, Ricky Hatton, all those guys. He was a little selective too. Selective.
Yep. So speaking of Canelo Alvarez, I mean, let's get to it. There's a lot of stuff on the plate right now for Canelo. So, in his post-fight interview,
and I still think he's the face of boxing, even though I love what's his name?
Tank Davis.
Tank. Even though I love Tank, man, I love the way I love Tank. He's about one of my favorite. Him and Canelo are my 2 favorite fighters. I can't even tell you who's 1 or 2, but but Canelo's been doing it longer, and I think he's still the face of boxing. I don't think it's changed yet, but Tank will be the face of boxing, or he's a close, first.
Yeah, I think with each knockout that Tank has, and if Canelo goes a distance, or if there's some questions, because people had questions about that Triple G fight too. People were like, he won, but they were thinking maybe knockout.
I thought he won the fight, Triple G. I thought he won the fight just by punching power and movement and control of the ring aggressiveness, just generalship inside the ring. I thought Canelo did more of that than Triple G.
Yeah, he did. Canelo won the fight, but a lot of people were anticipating maybe a knockout, Canelo knocking out Triple G, because Triple G, his past couple fights, he really didn't look that great. And Canelo, at the time, obviously the man, face of boxing, and that was the fight that he wanted. That was that chapter that was always open that, he wanted to close. He was always vocal about it. So when that knockout didn't happen, I guess a lot of people were questioning, and then he got hit quite a bit too. So when you have that performance and then you put in this performance, I guess some people are like, okay, if he goes down, Tank is probably going, and then he might pass him this way, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then that game, this knockout with Ryder, people, I see, so he's done. He's not,
Yes, is ridiculous. So
there's gonna be a point in time when Tank won't knock his opponent out.
Yeah, it's happened. It's happened when he fought
the Mexican guy.
When he fought Isaac Cruz.
Yeah, Cruz.
When he fought Isaac Cruz, he couldn't knock out Isaac Cruz. So people were saying Tank this, Tank that. But the people that truly understand boxing know that the higher that you get in the rankings, the more difficult your opponent gets. Like you're not just gonna knock everybody out. It's impossible. Even Deontay Wilder, even some of the greatest power punchers in the history of boxing, they couldn't knock out every single person that they've gotten in the ring with. So it's just unrealistic.
Yeah, it's like saying Mike Tyson was in a strong puncher because he couldn't knock out Evander Holyfield.
And Holyfield, it happens to be one of the greatest heavyweights of all time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let me ask you this then. So the fight that Canelo has been vocal about, the one that he said that he wants, is he wants Bevo. He wants that Bevo rematch. But the thing is, though, champ, let me throw this kicker in too. I already see you shaking your head. Let me throw this in there for you too. He wants it at 175 again. So he wants the same terms that they had last time.
Yeah.
So I got to ask you, champ, what do you think about him wanting to smoke with Bevo again?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking or what he's seeing or how he thinks he could do better. Or I don't know, man. That was Bevo just moves fast. He's quick. He has a great defense. You can't hit him. He doesn't fall for the feints. He stays steady in the ring. He doesn't panic. And he moves well. And he doesn't let Canelo get those 1 or 2 or 3 punches off at a time. It's always one punch at a time for Canelo when he's doing that. even this last fight, Canelo was throwing one or two at a time, not very much combinations. It's just a tough fight, man. I don't know why. He's a proud man. I'll tell you that. He's a proud man because he wants to get that rematch and he wants to get that win. So I admire him for that. But wow, that's a tough one, man. That's almost like me fighting Zoom Nelson for the fourth time.
Oh,
he did fight 4 times. For the 5th time.
So many times you lost count. You know what I mean? You fought him so many times you lost count already. But like I can understand wanting to, get that win back. But the thing is, if I'm Bevo and some of what I'm hearing, Bevo is like, I've already beat him at 175. I've already done that. So why am I going to do the same thing over again? If I'm going to fight him, I'm going to fight him at 168 this time, and I'm going to take his belts. You got to give me something to get amped up about. I can't get amped up fighting the same dude I just beat.
And he wants to come down to 68, right? He wants to come down to 68?
I don't think he wants to stay down there and campaign at 168, but if he gets a call, just probably for Canelo kind of thing. Because remember, Artur Beterbiev is still lurking at 175 too. So that unification bout with him and Bivol is always an option down the road also. Yeah. Wow. So I don't think he wants to escape 175 completely, but I think if Canelo says, okay, the fight can happen and it'll be at 168, I think Bivol will go down just for that one fight.
But hopefully, on Canelo's side or his sake, that he kills himself to make 168, doesn't have enough to fight back. Or that happens too. It could be a ploy for Canelo to say, "Hey, I don't want to fight for my belts," knowing that he wants the guy to come down for his belts. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I want to fight 175. Mm-hmm. No, I want to fight 168. Okay, if you want to.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, it's tough. Canelo, like I said, I can understand him wanting that rematch. But let's just say the fight happens at 168 and he loses to him again. What? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What?
I don't even see if it's 175, 160. I don't care. Him losing to him again is not good for Canelo.
It's not. But you don't think it hurts a little bit more if it's at Canelo's weight for Canelo's belts?
It doesn't hurt him. Well, it hurts him only if he loses, right?
True.
It's great if he wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I don't know. I have to hand it to Canelo for either one of those fights, 168 or 175, whatever it is. But I just don't know why you want to fight this guy. You couldn't even touch the guy in the first fight.
That's what I'm saying, champ.
You couldn't even touch the guy. What's he gonna do What's he gonna do in the second fight?
Exactly.
He was doing everything he could to win this fight. He couldn't even touch the guy. The guy's defense was so good, and he moved well. He didn't stay in one spot. He moved really well around the ring, used the ring well. I don't know what Canelo's gonna do different.
Yeah, because in the second half of that Ryder fight, he was getting, Ryder was able to get some shots off in there.
He was fatiguing. He was getting slower, and he wasn't throwing as much. Yeah, he didn't look like the old Canelo. People are saying that doesn't look like Canelo. I said he might have killed himself to make weight because he didn't look ripped. He looked ripped, but he was still a little soft on the sides. You don't see those rolls on him, and he did have them this time. And that's usually a guy that killed himself to make weight. Either he started late or wasn't serious about it. Something happened.
Yeah, and
I've had that done to me where I had to drop weight right away and like just super fast. And when that happens, usually you burn muscle and not body fat. Mm-hmm. And so Canelo looked that same way. He looked ripped, but he could tell on the sides. You've never seen that on him.
That's true. I got to ask you this one last little bit before we hop off, champ. So let's just say that fight with Bivol doesn't happen, right? Let's just say it doesn't happen, then it falls through. A name that we brought up a little bit ago. See, this is why I think Canelo's in a sticky spot, champ, because you got Bivol over here, and then, like I said, let's say that fight doesn't happen. You got David Benavidez in your weight class. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, if this fight doesn't happen, you could be staring this right in the face. So let me ask you this: with the Canelo that you saw, this past weekend, with the Benavidez that you saw against Caleb Plant, you put those two in there. I believe you said it's a dangerous fight for Canelo, right?
Yeah, because besides Benavidez being young and strong and fast, and he has all this positive everything about him, that he's just going to beat everybody, knock everybody out. He dominates guys in the ring. You know, that's a lot of pluses for him coming into a fight with Canelo, because he's gonna be much more amped for this fight than any other fight in his life. And you're gonna get the best of Benavidez, the best, not what we've seen, better than what we've seen. He's gonna be better than what we've seen, because he's gonna put that much more in for it. The only thing you would hope is that he burns himself out, which ain't gonna happen because they're smart now, they know how to train. But man, you're gonna see a Benavidez much better than what we've seen before.
I agree, man.
You
And
have a Canelo, an aging Canelo, a slower Canelo, not well, aging and slower, who's had 60-something fights. That's not even including his amateur fights.
that's true.
His pro fights.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always said, you don't get beat up during the fights. You get beat up in training and sparring and all these rounds you do. But man, I don't know. I give it to Canelo because he's daring to be the best in the world ever. He's daring to be that.
Absolutely.
You give a man credit for that, man. You gotta give a man credit. I hand my hat off to him, because
You have to. Because I mean,
he's not trying to play it safe. He's not saying, well, if I do this, no, I'm going for it. I want to give it all I have. And I'm not saying I'm not nowhere near in that position, but you know, I fought the best fighters in the world in my era,
mm-hmm.
because I wanted to challenge myself. And I didn't care I didn't want to fight, you know, guys that I knew I was going to beat. I was going to fight guys that challenged me, because I want people to say he fought the best guys in the world, whether he lost to him or not. He fought the best. And Canelo's on that. I'm not saying he's there, but I'm saying he's challenged himself to be that type of guy too. I'm going to fight the best in the world. He's not afraid of losing.
Yeah, and I mean, as a fan, that's what you want. That's what you want. So when you have conversations with people and then you start looking at records, you say, okay, this person has X amount of wins versus X amount of losses. You start asking, okay, who this person beat and who they lose to, you know, and that means everything.
How many losses that Ali have?
He had enough. He had quite a bit. He had multiple losses. You know, some of if you ask people who their favorite fighter is of all time, majority of the time you're going to hear someone that has multiple losses.
Yeah.
You know, so and that's why with the whole Ryan Garcia, I know I'm touching on something completely different. I just want to touch on this real quick. That's why I kind of feel bad in a sense of all the hate that he's getting, because he's daring to be great. He lost to somebody, champ, that we just got done saying you can put in a conversation as the face of boxing.
Yeah.
He went daring to be great. Now, like, people, you know, they probably have an issue with the way the fight ended and feel like he could get up, but we got to understand the circumstances that Ryan Garcia took the fight under. He went to a weight class he didn't want to go to. He was vocal about that from the beginning. He told you that from Jump Street. So he did all that to dare to be great. So I think boxing fans, I think we got to acknowledge that fact that this kid tried to dare to be great. And that's what we want. Like, we talk about some of these fighters. Hey, won't you fight this person? Won't you fight this person? Won't you fight him?
You know what? And you're 100% right that he's challenged himself to be the best and be great. And you know, I don't care who I fight, I'm going to fight. He's great mentality. I think what people see is maybe the attitude that he has going for it. You know, the people, and there's different people. Like I've always said, I don't know the guy. I met him in my life, but I know from what I see come across the camera or the screen or the way he posts stuff, I'm like, he would never be my friend. That type of thing, right? I admire him as a fighter, of course. I also know he has one weapon, is the left hook. Take that away from him, and he's kind of going to go to the distance with you. But you got to be good enough to do that. But I admire him for trying to be great and doing all the right things. I just wish he had a better persona in front of a camera and more a little bit more humble about certain things. And maybe he is, but I'm just saying, just from what I see across the camera, I said, you know, I was waiting for Tank. And I even said Tank would knock him out with 9 rounds. But maybe that's the thing that people say they don't like him, but it's not his fighting. He's a great fighter. But I just see the thing that just the persona, just the way what he puts out across the TV. People are, I don't know about that, you know.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I mean, there's been talk about his work ethic from previous trainers and stuff like that.
That too, yeah.
Yeah, and boxing is like the ultimate you get out what you put in kind of thing. So you know, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do with the whole training aspect, it's gonna tell at you at some point.
Yeah, you can't lie. You can't lie to boxing.
It doesn't lie. Champ, this the first episode that we've done this, man. This is
Awesome,
pretty
bro. Hey,
cool,
man.
man.
I hope, you know what I hope, because I know you're gonna. It's just gonna get bigger for you. You're just gonna keep growing, keep growing. Just don't forget about the small people over here on this side, brother.
Oh, come on,
It's
man.
gonna blow up. I'm guarantee you, this is gonna blow up in about 2 or 3 years. Now, I'm gonna be knocking on that. Hey, can I get on the screen one more time?
My brother, I'm gonna tell you something.
I'm so proud of you, brother. I'm proud of you because I know you work hard, man. You're not. You got other things going on besides this, but you put 100% into this as well as you do your other businesses. And so I'm proud of you, man, because that's you know what they say, bro. And I know you do it. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Absolutely, man. And hey, I gotta tell you something, man. From day one, you've been in this thing with me, and we're here 5 years. I can't believe it's been 5 years already. But you've been the first pro fighter to really really give me a chance. So I'm forever grateful for you, what you've done in that aspect. What you've done for me as a child. I watched you growing up with my dad. I've told you numerous times, man. So I'm forever grateful for you and your friendship. So you're always, always, always welcome on the show anytime.
And the thing is, your boxing, man. I can't. You know more than I do. You know more of the fighters. You know more. I'm learning from you too. So I'm like, man, give me some more info, man, because your boxing, man. So that's the guy that does his homework and is committed to it. You have to be. Yeah, just like a fighter, you gotta be committed 100%. And you try to cheat the game, you're gonna come out losing. And the same thing with your info, man. You can't cheat it. You can't pretend. You gotta know it, and know it.
Absolutely, man. Well, I definitely appreciate that, my brother. I definitely appreciate everybody that will tune in, and just everybody in general. Thank you for just everything. And champ, episode 2 is got to happen at some point. It's got to happen soon. So me and you will talk and organize that out.
Keep it going and keep this people interested in the one of the best sports in the world.
Absolutely, and hopefully we can bring some people on to have some good conversation with us.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah,
maybe heck, I'll try to talk Bam's. Lives here in San Antonio, and maybe I'll try to bring him on one day or Barrios or someone like that.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Well, for the champ, I'm the CEO. He's the champ, and hey, we'll see y'all. We'll see y'all soon. We appreciate y'all stopping through.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you. Thank you, brother.
See you. All right.